The G90 generation BMW M5. Now that the dust has settled after its debut, let's take a closer look at it, talk about what this thing is from a technical standpoint, how I feel about the interior space, and obviously what it's like to drive it. So let's get started. So the new BMW M5 got many people happy and sad. Happy because the wagon, or touring as BMW calls it, came back, but sad because it received a hybrid drivetrain from the BMW XM, which made it gain over 1,000 pounds when we compare it to the previous F90 generation. So in the world where cars are already very heavy, more weight isn't necessarily what we want, and the new M5 weighs 5,400 pounds as a sedan and 5,500 pounds as a wagon. Now, BMW argues that hybridization was necessary to keep the V8 under the hood, and we'll talk about how all that added weight affects the new M5 when we get to the driving impressions. First, let's talk about what this thing is from a technical standpoint, starting with the powertrain. So it's a combination of old and new when you look at it. Under the hood, we still have the S68 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8, which itself makes 577 horsepower. It still made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission provided by ZF, but as a part of hybridization, BMW integrated a 195 horsepower electric motor into the transmission, which gets its power from a 14.8 kilowatt-hour battery. That means the total drivetrain output is 717 horsepower, 738 pound-feet of torque, which translates to 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds. Just to mention, since it's a plug-in hybrid, we can do up to 30-ish miles in pure electric mode, and you don't have to worry about the decrease in horsepower when you drain the battery. There's always an energy buffer that automatically gets recharged via the combustion engine and energy recuperation. Now, the new generation retained a rear-biased MX Drive all-wheel drive with an active locking diff, and we can still disconnect the rear axle and make the car rear-wheel drive only in case you want to go sideways in this 5,400-pound whale. As of other stuff, the new M5 is built on the Clar platform, so it features a double wishbone front suspension and a multi-link setup in the back, combined with adaptive dampers which use data from the body movement, road surface conditions, and the steering input to adjust each damper individually, and you can also set the damping setting from a menu in the infotainment. The whole chassis was specifically tuned in the M5 by the M division, and besides all that magic, we also have extra bracing and a rear axle steering system. When it comes to brakes, we can choose between regular brakes or optional carbon ceramics. Both have 6-piston front calipers and a single-piston floating caliper in the back, and just looking at those brakes, you can tell that they are massive. Lastly, let's talk about pricing. It starts around 119 and can go up to 140 grand depending on options you choose, which makes it a little bit more attractive if we compare it to the Audi RS6, but not as attractive as the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, which I think is the best in the class. But we're gonna get to that in the driving impressions. First, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Okay, so we're inside the new BMW M5. Now, I know I've been pretty critical of recent BMW's design choices and how ergonomics are in their new cabins, so I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. I will just briefly tell you how I feel about the M5. Sadly, it's not different. It's far from being perfect in terms of the ergonomics that I mentioned, and the cabin just feels down on quality if we compare it to the F90. The M model might be a little bit better when it comes to other variants of 5 Series, but you can still tell that the quality is down and fit and finish also isn't there. I don't know if my mic's gonna pick this up, but this whole seat just squeaks. You go over bumps, you get inside, you have that cheap black piano plastic that squeaks. So not good, BMW, not good. I mean, when you look at this cabin, at first it will wow you with a simple design and all those screens and ambient lighting, but once you start interacting with it, you feel like there's just something missing, especially at this price point. Also, the technology. It's not as easy to use as it was before, but the good thing is it's still one of the best implementations. The iDrive can be overwhelming in the beginning with all the options that it offers, because what BMW did is they decluttered the interior but cluttered the infotainment system. So if, for example, there are some things that you use frequently, I recommend making shortcuts for them so they're a little easier to access. But the good thing is we still have a physical iDrive controller and real buttons on the steering wheel, so that's good. What BMW got right though with the new M5 or 5 Series in general is the storage. The center console has been cleaned up, the cup holders are pretty big, and there's a decent amount of storage under the armrest. Also, the door pockets, both front and back, offer good space, so it will fit all of your junk without any issues. Now, today we have a sedan, so it's not as practical as the wagon variant, but I can tell you that the trunk is also pretty spacious, and even though it's a plug-in hybrid, it didn't compromise the cargo space. Now, the front seats are phenomenal, just like in most BMW models, so they didn't mess up with the G90. They're super comfortable, they offer multitude of adjustments and hold you very well in place. You have inflatable bolsters, they're obviously heated, cooled, no massage function, but you don't really need it. They are very comfortable, so you will not fatigued after hours of driving this thing. Same with the back seat. It is an executive sedan at the end of the day, so the headroom and legroom are great. You feel comfortable there, and if it wasn't for the worst quality and poor ergonomics, this could have been a very, very good cabin. But this is secondary for us car enthusiasts. What really matters to us is how the car drives, so let's head into our favorite back road now and check it out. It starts in a hybrid mode, so let's put it into M1. There's that V8, baby. Okay, so we're behind the wheel of the new G90 BMW M5. This car is full of controversy. First plug-in hybrid, very heavy, I mean 5,400 pounds. This thing is a chunkster. Granted, BMW did some tricks to mask the weight with the suspension, with rear axle steering, but let's see how it actually really does. We're gonna put it into the pre-programmed M1 mode that I have, so it's gonna put everything in the most aggressive mode. Transmission is in manual, we can floor it, and boy, this surely has 717 horsepower, if not more. BMW is known to underrate their engines, and as you could tell, the rear end is very loose. Obviously, the xDrive system is rear bias. We have it in four-wheel drive sport, and the rear end kicked out because of how much power this thing has. Granted, the pavement is a little wet this morning, so that had something to do with it, and the Hankook tires that are mounted don't perform well in lower temperatures. We have 53 degrees outside. It's a summer compound, so we're not gonna have as much grip as I wish we did, but we'll get a little bit of an understanding of what the new M5 feels like. So first things first, the powertrain is amazing. The whole calibration has just been done very well. The S68 engine is super smooth. It revs all the way up to 7,200 RPM. This is a pure monster. Also, both electric motor and the internal combustion engine work together very well. You get that feeling of extra torque that comes from the electric motor. There's that assistance, but as of powertrain, this is a beauty. The transmission is obviously class of its own, typical ZF, maybe not that quick to downshift, but very quick to upshift, and it has a great logic in automatic mode, so nothing to complain about. The only gripe that I have with this powertrain is the exhaust. It's very quiet due to very strict regulations in Europe. A lot of what we hear right now is pumped through the speakers, all those burbles and farts. It's not real. The car is not super quiet, but you can tell this isn't real. Luckily, you can very simply turn it off, have the M sound off, and the car is gonna be much quiet. Still gonna sound like a V8, but very muffled V8. Now, as we enter corners, this is where we feel those 5,400 pounds. Yes, BMW is trying to trick you with rear axle steering, help the rear end to rotate and give you that sensation of nimbleness, but you just can't trick physics. You can tell that it's a chunkster, it's a heavy car, and even though it's very quick, you feel its weight in corners. The steering actually surprised me in a positive way. It gives you a little bit of feedback, which I was not expecting from a modern BMW. So that's a change for positive. It's very quick, and again, together with that rear axle steering, it gives you that sensation of nimbleness, that you're driving a car that is very quick to turn, but in real life, the weight just tells the truth. But you can have that rotation, and when you're in four-wheel drive sport with reduced traction and stability control, so that's pretty cool. Alrighty, we're approaching the end of our favorite back roads, so we're gonna go back into regular driving mode. Here we go. You can even change the M mode to road, and let's talk about what it's like to live with this thing on a daily basis. The M5 has always been that super fast car, but also a great daily, and the G90 M5 is almost there. The suspension calibration is actually very good. It's a very comfortable car, but I feel like the suspension struggles with the weight. What do I mean? Well, when we hit any bumps or any potholes, it's not like it's one and done like in older BMWs it was. There's a little bit more vibration that gets transmitted through the cabin, and it lacks a little bit of refinement, something that, for example, Audi RS6 or even Cadillac CT5 Blackwing would have. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. You can totally live with it, but you can tell that the engineers from the M division had a little bit of struggle tuning the suspension because of all that added weight, battery pack, electric motors, and all that stuff. But that's something you get used to, and the M5 is really comfortable. We have amazing seats. This thing is easy to drive. When you drive it in your regular hybrid mode, when the engine shuts off, you can do around 30 miles in pure electric range. It's not provoking you to drive very, very fast. It's comfortable. I really like it. The cabin is quiet, and with a flip of a switch, it becomes a very, very fast car. Car that struggles with its weight, but it is very fast. It's just a sign of times. Times are changing, and BMW had to design the G90 the way they did. I just hope maybe at some point they will release the CS model without hybridization. I mean, how cool would that be? Especially in the touring variant. Oh boy, let's keep our fingers crossed. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about the new G90 M5, so let's head into the final thoughts and summarize it. Okay, let's sum up the G90 BMW M5. So the question is this a good evolution of the M5? And it is a hard pill to swallow, and I don't have an easy answer for that. On one hand, it's still an M5. It's still a super powerful vehicle that's very capable, and when you push it to the limits, it will bring you joy. But to be fair, it's maybe not as quick as the previous generation was in the CS model and doesn't feel as nimble. It has more of that multiple personalities that some car enthusiasts love in their cars. So it can be driven like a fully electric car. It can also be an efficient hybrid that is very comfortable and practical. And with a flip of a switch, it becomes a very capable vehicle. A very capable vehicle that is heavy, but still gives you fun. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hate driving this thing. And it would be very hard to do if the car costs like $120,000. But it's not the best car in the segment in my eyes. The leader is the Cadillac CT5 Blackwing. It is a supercharged V8, very, very connected driving experience, and if you really want that mid-size performance vehicle, get the Caddy. Even the Audi RS6 will be a little bit more engaging, so test drive all of those cars, see what you think, and if you really want to get a BMW, get the M8 Competition. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about this thing, drop a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.